Hi guys, Mrs. Ferguson here, and today we're going to read a biography. I am Sacagawea. I think I've heard people say Sacagawea, but it's Sacagawea. That's what we're going to go with. Alright, I Am Sacagawea by Brad Meltzer, and a lot of you have seen these books in our library and love them. So here we go. I thought I'd read this one today. And I'm going to turn a lamp on real quick. Getting dark. Here we go. Make it a little bit brighter in here so you can see well. Here we go. I am Sacagawea. There's a lot of text. See that? So I'm going to read it first and then I'll turn it to show you. What do people expect of you? Your family, your teachers, your friends? Do they expect you to be a good person? To do well in school? To keep your room clean? People had different expectations of me. In fact, they didn't expect much at all. Why? Well, it was a different time in America. Back then, they didn't think much of people who looked like me. Someone who was a girl. Someone who was young. Someone who was Native American. When I was born, the United States was still a brand new country. George Washington was just becoming president, but my people, my tribe, which was called the Shoshone, they had already lived here for thousands of years. This is my father. He was chief of our village. I'm going to show you that picture there now. There she is. This is my father. He was chief of our village. And this is my brother. We lived in what is now called Idaho. The United States was so young that Idaho didn't exist yet. The snow is arriving. It's time to move on. When winter came, the women of our village would pack up our lodges, our homes made of brush that we lived in during certain times of year. In spring and summer, the whole village would move to an area where there was better fishing. And in fall or winter, we moved to different areas for different food. When I was around 12 years old, our Shoshone tribe was attacked by another tribe. They captured me and took me back to their village. From there, I was given to a French-Canadian man and became his wife. That's when I was given the name that you know me by, Sacagawea. So, no one knows her real name? Yep, that's right. And she was only 14 when she was married? That's the ladies of the village talking. That's how life was back then. War captives were treated like property, something that could be given away. But, lucky for me, my life was about to change. I'm going to start up here. I'm Meriwether Lewis, right there, and I'm William Clark. We're explorers, and we need an interpreter. Someone who can help us speak to other Native American tribes, like the Hidatsa and the Shoshone. Well, I speak Hidatsa, and my wife speaks Shoshone. At the time I was pregnant, when the baby came, it would be hard to travel, but I didn't have a choice. That's how things were back then. Besides, Lewis and Clark had a mission from President Thomas Jefferson. That, I'm going to start right here. Today, the United States looks like this. Back then, the United States only had 17 states, only the blue part. Thomas Jefferson had just made a deal called the Louisiana Purchase, where he bought the big yellow part in the middle from France. Right here. There's the blue part. There's the yellow part. Yeah. The whole area had never been explored by the U.S. government, and there were so many mountains we didn't know if we could even get through. So our goal was to examine the land and open up trade relations with the Native Americans and find a safe path from here to the Pacific Ocean. But the only way to make it happen was with a translator who could help speak to the Native Americans who were already living there. It was harder than you think. This is Sacagawea talking. This is all her thought clouds here. It was harder than you think. To talk to a Native American, I would translate what they said into Hidatsa, a tribal language that my husband spoke. And then, since he didn't speak English, he would translate the Hidatsa into French. Then, a member of the team would translate the French into English for Captains Lewis and Clark. What did he say? He wishes you harmony on your journey. All of that. He wishes you harmony on your journey. So it went from Shoshone to Hidatsa to French to English. Well, by the time we were ready to leave, my son was born, and Clark gave him the nickname Pomp, P-O-M-P, Pomp, after a Roman general. It was meant as a joke, like calling a child commander. Was it dangerous to take a newborn baby into the wilderness? Of course it was, but we didn't have a choice. I wasn't even considered an equal part of the team. That's just how things were back then. In April of 1805, the Corps of Discovery set out from my village to explore this great uncharted land. A corps is a group of people. So they're the Corps of Discovery. There they are, getting ready. And here's her thought clouds. We're going to go from there. There were a few dozen men. I was the only girl, the only female teenager, the only one with a baby, and the only Native American. Lewis and Clark thought it would be a one-year trip. They had no idea what they were getting into. Today, people say I was a guide, but my real job was as an interpreter. And soon enough, though, Lewis and Clark realized I had many other skills. And we're going to go right here. I'm hungry. There's nothing to eat out here. Wait, the girl, why is she pointing? She says these roots and fruits are safe, that we can eat them. So see, she helps them. My people lived on this land, and I knew its secrets. With a sharp stick, I would find wild artichokes that mice had buried in the ground. We can eat these too? Look at these berries. She found these. These are amazing. It wasn't just food, though. This was my land. My people lived here for centuries, and I understood its passageways. So here's the Corps in their boats in the water, all saying different things. Which turn should we take? She says that one. Well, how does she know? She recognizes that mountain, the one that looks like a beaver's head. That means her tribe has been here before. This is the right path. In their journals, Lewis and Clark spelled my name 8 different ways, and I'm going to show them to you right here. See that? All these different ways. Okay. Sometimes they called me Snake Woman or Bird Woman, but over time, they learned exactly who I was. One day, during a sudden storm, my husband lost control of our boat. The vessel nearly flipped, and the men panicked and fought. No! Our supplies, our medicines, our papers! The supplies! They're floating away! In the middle of this pioneering journey, our supplies, which could not be replaced, and were needed for our survival. They were about to be lost. Hurry! Do something! Stop panicking! Careful, you're going to tip the boat! Someone help us! Only one person stayed calm. Carefully balancing myself with my infant son strapped to my back in a boat that was about to flip, I was the one who gathered all our supplies. Do you see what she's doing? Our instruments, our maps. She's actually giving them. That's right. It was I, a young girl, surrounded by soldiers and frontiersmen, who saved us all. I didn't wait for someone else to come to the rescue. I came to the rescue. And all the while, I also did my job as an interpreter, helping Lewis and Clark speak to other tribes. In Shoshone, we say, "You're not human until you learn your language." And these are some of the real words from my tribe. The Shoshone word for tree is, looks like sohobi. Sohobi. The word for corn is ha-naibi. The word for water is ba'a. The word for horse is bungu. There are no words for hello or goodbye because we don't want to say goodbye forever. So we say something that is closer to I will see you later. I like that. I want to learn that word. Let's learn that word when we go back to school. I will see you later in Shoshone. For our expedition, the word bungu was one of the most important of all. If we wanted to cross the Rocky Mountains, we needed horses. Who had them? The Shoshone, my tribe. So I led the way. Be careful. They might attack. I had no idea what to expect that day. It had been years since I was taken from my tribe. What do you think is going to happen? Let's find out. Our expedition had never seen a Shoshone war party, and a battle could have started. But instead of fighting, both sides began to talk. Sometimes, even without words, you can communicate peace. Let's remember that. Sometimes, even without words, you can communicate peace. Soon after, they invited us to meet their chief, and that's when I saw my brother, my sister. My uncle. It was wonderful to see my people again. We traded with them, giving them supplies and even a medallion from Thomas Jefferson, and in return, they gave us horses, helping us prepare for our journey through the mountains. Eventually, though, it was time to leave. And so now it's her brother talking. We're going to read all those. The next part of your trip will be difficult. You'll be going to places where you won't know the land, and you'll meet tribes where you won't know the language. Lewis and Clark they don't really even need you anymore. So, may I ask, sister, why are you going with them? Why not stay here with your family? To this day, no one knows the answer. Some say it was because we still had more to explore. Some say it was because I felt like I was a part of the team. Some even say that I was inspired by the adventure. But one thing was certain, the mission wasn't done. So, What would you do? That's hard to say. The trip was never easy. We faced grizzly bears. We were hit by hail and flash floods. We even had to eat candles to keep from starving. I even got extremely ill. She's sick, but she's a fighter. Candles, because they're probably made from beeswax, so you can eat beeswax just to keep from starving, I suppose. Well, that winter, our Corps of Discovery had to decide where to build our camp. Usually, that decision was made by the men in charge. But for once, we're going to read those. We'd like to know what you think. We need everyone to vote. Including me? Yes, Sacagawea, including you. Well, the final decision rested with Lewis and Clark, but on that day, my vote was cast, just like everyone else on the team. Did our expedition ever reach the Pacific? Do you guys know? Yes, it did. Part of our group hiked to the water earlier than the rest and then sent word back. They say they saw a whale. I want to go to see the whale, not just the whale. I wanted to see the ocean, which I had never seen before. And eventually, I did. In the end, our Corps of Discovery traveled over 2,000 miles. It took a year and a half by boat, by horse, and by foot. And I was the only girl. I was the only teenager, the only one with a baby. And I was the only Native American. In my life, people underestimated me. Since I was a girl, they expected me to be weak. And since I was young, they expected me to be inexperienced. And since I was Native American, they expected to treat me unfairly. That's how things were back then. But that's not how they should ever be. Native American people defined themselves by their stories, and you know my story now. It's time for you to write your story. Don't let someone else limit you. As Chief Menominee of the Yakama tribe says, we can only be what we give ourselves power to be. We're going to read all of these now. At the end of the expedition, Sacagawea's husband was paid $533.30 and was given 320 acres of land. As his wife, Sacagawea, was paid nothing. Well, that's not fair. Today, there are dozens of parks, landmarks, poems, songs, and rivers named after her all across the country. Remember when she saved all the supplies during the expedition? When it happened, they named that river after her. And today in Montana, it's still called the Sacagawea River. She's the first Native American woman to have her own statue in the U.S. Capitol. She even got her own coin, the Sacagawea dollar. I bet some of you have that. But since there are no pictures of her, the picture on the coin is actually of a woman from Sacagawea's tribe. Did she really make that whole trip with her baby? Look at the coin and the statue. Baby Pomp is on both. Without Sacagawea's bravery and knowledge, the Lewis and Clark expedition might not have ever been completed. Thanks to her, they were able to create maps, engage other Native American cultures, and find a route to the Pacific. Do you know what it means to navigate something? It means finding your way. Wherever you go in life, whatever mountains you climb and challenges you face, find your own way. Make your own path. Shatter expectations. That's what I've always done. I am a girl. I am a teenager. I am a mother. I am Native American, and I am powerful. I am Sacagawea, and I will blaze my own trail. I love that. Wouldn't you like to go back in time and meet her, or have her come forward in time and meet us? So here in the back is a little bit of information I'm going to share. This is her talking right here. The Indian woman to whom I ascribe equal fortitude and resolution with any person on board at the time of the accident, caught and preserved most of the light articles which were washed overboard. That's a quote from Meriwether Lewis, writing in his journal about Sacagawea after she saved all the supplies on the famous boat ride. And here's the statue in Washington Park in Portland, Oregon. And there's Pomp. And over here is a picture of a Shoshone camp in the year 1870. And below it, the Sacagawea gold dollar coin. There's Pomp right there. And replicas of canoes from the Lewis and Clark expedition. These are the kind of boats they used. You can see that'd probably be easy to tip over. And then down below is a whole timeline. We're going to look at there, and we're going to go all the way across, okay? Timeline. 1789. Born in what would later become Idaho. This is her timeline. 1800. She was captured by a rival tribe. In 1803, the Louisiana Purchase land deal takes place between the United States and France. On May 14th in 1804, Lewis and Clark's Corps of Discovery leaves St. Louis. November 4th, 1804, she meets Lewis and Clark. February 11th, 1805, she gives birth to Jean-Baptiste, also known as Pomp. On April 7th, 1805, she departs with the expedition from Fort Mandan in North Dakota. On May 14th or 15th of 1805, she saves the supplies when the boat almost tips. On August 17th of 1805, she sees her brother, who is now the chief. On August 26th of 1805, the expedition crosses the Continental Divide at Lemhi Pass, which is the Montana and Idaho border. In January of 1806, she sees the Pacific Ocean for the first time. Can you imagine? It's just so vast. Like, people have never seen it, and then you see it for the first time. Wow. In 1812, she dies. Perhaps of an unknown illness. It was never confirmed how she died. So 1789 to 1812, 20, 32, 33 years old. That's not very old. In the year 2000, Sacagawea dollar coin was issued by the U.S. Mint. That's the end. I'm going to show you this timeline so you can read it on your own if you want to. There we go. Wow, that was interesting. Did you guys like learning about her? That's pretty special. I like these books. We'll have to read some more of these. These are great books for you guys to read when we go back to school. All right, guys. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.